A strange object from deep space is heading quickly toward our sun, and it's unlike anything we've seen before. Over the last month, some of the most advanced telescopes on Earth have been focused on this mysterious light in the sky. Scientists were hoping to get answers, but instead, they've ended up with even more questions. Time is running short. Soon, the object will slip behind the sun's glare, making it impossible to observe. And before it vanishes from sight, we're left trying to figure out what exactly it is. Officially, it's been named 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever recorded, meaning it came from outside our solar system, possibly from one of the countless distant stars we see at night. While we don't know the exact star it came from, scientists believe 3I Atlas may have originated in an ancient part of the Milky Way, from a solar system that could be twice as old as ours. It's only the third time we've spotted something like this. The first was Oumuamua, a strange cigar-shaped object that passed through in 2017 and left experts puzzled. We still don't know exactly what it was, just that it was unlike anything we've seen before. Then came 2I Borisov, the second visitor. Unlike the others, it looked and behaved just like a typical comet, only it came from another star system, which is still pretty amazing, even if it wasn't as mysterious. Now, 3I Atlas is proving to be the most intriguing of the three. The more we observe it, the more unusual it appears. It was first officially noticed on July 1st, 2025, by a system called ATLAS, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, which is how it got its name. At that point, it was between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, closer to Jupiter. However, we've since discovered that it was actually spotted earlier, on May 7, 2025, by NASA's TESS satellite, which usually searches for planets around distant stars. TESS didn't realize what it was seeing at the time, but the object was already traveling between Jupiter and Saturn, which tells us just how fast it's moving. For comparison, when NASA launched the Voyager probes straight toward Jupiter, they took about 18 to 23 months to reach it. But 3I Atlas was near Jupiter in May, zipped past Mars by September, and is set to swing by the Sun on October 29th. It'll be back near Jupiter's orbit again by spring. That kind of speed proves it's not from around here. It's moving too fast for the Sun's gravity to trap it, following a path known as a hyperbolic trajectory, a clear sign of an interstellar origin. What's even more interesting is that, according to TESS images, 3I Atlas was already glowing brightly even when it was far beyond Jupiter's orbit. That's not something we usually see, and it just adds to the mystery.
Over a period of about 3 weeks, something unusual happened. 3I 141414 3I Atlas started shining much more brightly while NASA's TESS satellite was still able to watch it. That brightness increase was surprising, especially when compared to the kinds of comets we usually see. Most comets are made up of frozen water mixed with rock, dust, and gas. They usually hang out far away from the sun in the outer regions of our solar system. When they move closer to the sun, they heat up and begin to melt. But in space, melting doesn't work the same way it does on Earth. Because there's no air or pressure in a vacuum, ice turns straight into gas without becoming liquid first. This process is called sublimation. When sublimation happens, it creates a glowing cloud around the comet, known as a coma. This is the bright, fuzzy halo we usually see around comets. But this only starts happening once the comet passes Jupiter and moves closer to the sun. Any earlier, and it's too cold. Here's what made 3I Atlas so strange. When TESS first spotted it on May 7th, it was still far beyond Jupiter's orbit, yet it was already glowing brightly. And it kept getting brighter every day. That means sublimation was already happening way earlier than expected. If 3I Atlas is a comet, then it's nothing like the ones we've studied before. Even Oumuamua, the first known interstellar object, didn't show any coma at all, no sign of sublimation. In that way, 3I Atlas is the complete opposite. And it's also very different from 2I Borisov, which looked and acted like a normal comet, even though it came from another star system. As astronomers kept watching 3I Atlas throughout the lie in August, things just kept getting stranger. The cloud of gas around it began forming a tail, which is normal for comets, but something was off. The tail was pointing toward the sun, not away from it. Usually, a comet's tail is pushed back by the solar wind, the constant stream of charged particles the sun blows out into space. Think of the sun like a giant fan blowing dust off the comet and forming a trail that always points away from it. It's like a dog sticking its head out a car window and the wind pushing its ears back. But with 3I Atlas, it was as if the wind was blowing, yet the ears were flapping forward. It didn't make sense, and it confused a lot of scientists. That's when astronomers decided it was time to take a closer look using the most powerful tools available. Major telescopes like Hubble, the James Webb Space Telescope, and a unique satellite called SphereX, which studies the early universe, were all directed at 3I Atlas. TESS was also brought back in for another look. It was NASA's James Webb Telescope that gave us the clearest picture of what this object might be. One of the biggest discoveries was that the coma surrounding 3I Atlas is mostly made up of carbon dioxide gas, not water vapor, like we see with most comets. There is some water in the mix, but the amount of carbon dioxide is far higher than normal. In fact, scientists estimate there's about 16 times more carbon dioxide than water based on a measured ratio of 8:1 CO2 to H2O. That's extremely rare. And to make things even more impressive, the cloud of carbon dioxide surrounding 3I Atlas is huge, possibly stretching out as far as 300,000 kilometers from the object.
That's nearly half the size of the Sun, much larger than scientists first expected when they began observing 3I Atlas back in July. This surprising brightness has also led researchers to believe that the solid object at the center of that giant cloud might be much bigger than they initially thought. At first, estimates suggested the core of 3I Atlas was about 20 kilometers wide. Then, new data seemed to shrink that number to around 11 kilometers. But with the most recent findings, astronomers now think it could actually be as large as 46 kilometers across. That's definitely big, though not record-breaking. Some comets in our own solar system have cores that stretch more than 100 kilometers wide. Still, what makes 3I Atlas stand out isn't just its size. It's the makeup of the gas around it. The huge amount of carbon dioxide compared to the small amount of water is something we've never seen before. It's basically the reverse of what we find in normal comets, where water is the main ingredient. This strange chemical balance suggests 3I Atlas was formed in a solar system made from very different materials than ours. In other words, it's truly alien in origin, not necessarily made by aliens, but clearly from somewhere far beyond our solar neighborhood. However, things took another strange turn when astronomers using the Very Large Telescope, yes, that's actually its name, in Chile, detected something unexpected. Nickel metal in the clouds surrounding 3I Atlas, but no sign of iron. That's weird. Iron and nickel almost always appear together in space. They're two of the most common heavy metals in the universe, because both are created deep inside dying stars and spread across space when those stars explode as supernovas. Since they're formed side by side, they're usually found together in asteroids, moons, and even the cores of planets. The only time humans ever separate nickel from iron is during industrial processing on Earth. So how could there be nickel floating around 3I Atlas without any iron? No one really knows yet, but it's definitely unusual. And of course, whenever something this strange shows up, people start wondering, could it be alien? Many theories have popped up about 3I Atlas possibly being an artificial spacecraft. To be fair, those ideas aren't completely random. They're based on real data, just with a more imaginative interpretation. For instance, scientists noticed that 3I Atlas got much brighter as it passed near Jupiter. Yes, getting closer to the Sun would naturally make it glow more, but not by that much. Some think the extra brightness might come from early sublimation caused by its high CO2 levels.
Others suggest a wilder idea, that it's actually an alien probe turning on its lights. Another theory says the cloud of CO2 might be coming from living creatures inside a massive ship, releasing carbon dioxide just like humans breathe out. There's even speculation that 3I Atlas might not be a ship at all, but a single giant life form drifting through space, feeding on dust and gas and releasing CO2 as waste. And the most fascinating part? Right now, no one can completely rule out any of these possibilities.
Chances are it's probably not an alien spaceship, but no one can say for sure. The same goes for the strange discovery of nickel without iron. Since there's no clear explanation yet, we also can't say with 100% certainty that this isn't something artificial like a spacecraft built by another civilization. Again, it's unlikely, but not impossible. That's exactly why scientists and astronomers are racing to study 3I Atlas while it's still within reach. There's only a short window of time to gather data before it disappears from view. One of the best chances we'll have to get a good look at it is in early October, when the object comes relatively close to Mars, around 28 million kilometers away. While that's still a huge distance, it's near enough for 2 orbiting spacecraft around Mars to observe it. The European Space Agency plans to use both Mars Express and the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter to study 3I Atlas. They'll use high-resolution cameras and advanced color imaging to try and spot what's hidden inside that huge cloud of gas. We won't be getting a detailed close-up photo, but the images might be good enough to tell us something about the shape of the object inside. By late October, though, 3I Atlas will pass behind the sun from Earth's perspective, meaning it'll be hidden in the sun's glare and we won't be able to see it again until December. By then, it will already be on its way out of the solar system. But we'll get one final opportunity to study it. On March 16, 2026, 3I Atlas will make another pass near Jupiter, this time at about 53 million kilometers. That's still distant, but there's one more thing working in our favor. We already have a spacecraft orbiting Jupiter. It's called Juno, and it's been exploring the Jupiter system since 2016. Its main mission is supposed to end in September 2025, and the original plan was to crash it into Jupiter afterward to gather data during its final descent. But now, scientists are considering a new idea, using Juno for one last task, possibly trying to observe or even intercept 3I Atlas during its final flyby. So while we've already learned a lot from this strange visitor, we're not finished yet. There's still more to discover. And every new answer will probably come with more questions, which is exactly what makes science and space exploration so exciting.